everybody, and welcome to my next tutorial. My name is Maltena, and today I will show you how we can create a smart volume meter that you see in my composition window. Let me just show you how it looks. And what's really cool about this is that this volume meter automatically follows the music playing in your composition, and there are a few other cool tricks that I've used to create this effect, and this is hard to explain them, just in plain words, so just follow along and you'll see what's the big deal. So okay, let's start by creating a new composition. Let's call this volume meter. Let's make 10 seconds long. Okay, square pixels, looks okay. Okay, well, first of all you need an audio clip. You've already heard what it is in my case, so we need to pre-compose this, and this is one of the tricks, and I will explain it later. Okay, now we need to create a keyframes out of the audio waveform that you can see in here. Well, After Effects comes with a function that you can find in Keyframe Assistant, and it's called Convert Audio to Keyframes. So let's apply this, and as you can see, After Effects created a null object for us with 3 sliders, one for each channel and one for both. So we are going to use only both channels, so let's just delete the rest. And as you can see, the sliders is animating. I mean, the values are changing, so this is good. And first things first, why are we pre-composing this? Well, because in case you have a volume meter already built, like I do in here, what if you would like to pre-compose this and then pre-compose it again and again and again for whatever reason? Then if we would do our volume meter in this composition, because basically we have to if we want anything to follow these keyframes, then if you would pre-compose this, leaving the music behind in the original composition, then the link would be lost, and the animation wouldn't follow the music anymore. So this is the trick how you can freely pre-compose layers and your volume meters without losing that link. So first of all, we've created a composition, then we did the audio keyframes, and also there is a little problem. Let's say I would like my volume meter to have a defined height, and that I will animate it by scaling it up and down. And as you can see, this slider, we don't know the range of the values that are used in this slider. We can see that it goes to 24, 27, and basically this is pretty hard to just figure out what the values are. I think I saw 30 somewhere around here. Well, never mind that. I will show you the way around this. So let's create a new slider. Slider control, and let's drag it to our null object that After Effects created for us, and let's call this final, for example, and we are going to write an expression, and this is the most difficult part of this tutorial, I promise. It's a bit tricky, but it's as hard as it gets in this tutorial, so stay with me, okay? Well, basically what we have to do, we have to somehow find the maximum value on this slider, and then just change the range in which this slider operates, because it operates from 0 to this maximum value, whatever it is, and we would like it to operate between 0% and 100%. So between 0 and 100 values, basically. And to do that, we need to write a loop. If you're familiar with programming in any language, you probably know what I'm talking about. But there's another thing that we have to do. We have to somehow convert the time, the time in seconds, to the frame number. And After Effects helps us with this because it has a predefined functions to do that. So let's just create a variable that will hold our frame value from the given time. So let's call this frame, for example, equals. And now let's click on this triangle and let's look for global functions. Oh, you probably don't see it because of the screen recording, but here it is. It's called time to frames, and we're going to apply this. Let me just hide a bit of those controls because they're just in the way. Okay, and this is it. We don't need to modify this, so let's leave it as it is. And now we need to have a duration in frames, the duration of this composition in frames. So we need to calculate that also. So let's create a variable comp duration. We can basically use the same function, but here instead of time we are going to use this comp dot duration, and this is it, I think. Next step, we need to write a function that will look for the maximum value within these keyframes, and this is basically pretty easy. First we define our maximum value, so let's define a variable called maximum, and let's make it equal 0. And next step is to write a loop, and this is basically why we did this converting, because loops work on because it's easier in After Effects to work with frames if we're concerning a loops. So let's create this loop to look for a maximum value. So for some variable that we call I equals 1. Now the condition, so E must be less than composition duration. This is the variable that we've created in here, and in each step increase the I value with 1. This is basically this is equal to something like this: I equals I plus 1. So let's just leave it as it was. And now we are going to need two values to calculate this. We first need to convert the frames to times, so we need to convert it back because we are going to use value at time function of a layer, of a slider, and we have to provide the time value, not a frame value in there. So let's just create a variable called frames to time, FTT, and let's do frames to time. I guess there is something like that. Frames to time. You can also find it if you click on that triangle that we've clicked to create this, but I don't have a triangle in here right now because I've closed it down. I don't want to open it because I will get a huge error message that this expression isn't finished, blah blah blah. So let's just finish this up. So frames to time, and now we provide our I value, which changes all the time. And now frames per second equals, this is basically very similar to this, so don't worry about it. This comp frame duration. This should be okay. I hope we don't get any error messages. Next, we need to, just to simplify things, I will create a variable that will point to this slider that After Effects created for us. So let's call this SLD for slider. And where's my pick whip tool? I've closed it by pressing this, I believe, or this. So let's just try to figure it out. It should be something like effects or effect, I think. This is called both channels, and slider. I think this should be okay. And now we need to have the value at time from this slider, and there's a function that is called just like that. So let's call this value equals. Now that we have a variable that points to the slider, we can use this instead of this whole line. So let's just write SLD dot value at time, and here we provide this value. So this is the time for the current frame, okay? FTT. Okay. And now we are going to write a line that will find the maximum value within these keyframes, and this is basically pretty easy, because if the current value is bigger than the maximum that we have found so far, then make the maximum equal to this value. So this is pretty self-explanatory. And let's close the loop. Let's just check if there are no errors. No, there will be an error, so let's just write anything, because After Effects always applies the last line to the value of that you're modifying with an expression. So it doesn't matter what you wrote in here if it's not used, of course, to calculate the value. It always gets the last line. So if I would just try to apply this, hey, it works. I don't know why, but it works somehow. But not the way we would like it, so let's just forget it. But hey, there are no errors. That's amazing. I've never wrote an expression that big without using a pick whip, and I didn't get an error, so this is cool. Okay, so let's now, like I said at the beginning, we need to change the range in which this slider operates. So this operates between 0 and maximum that we have found in here, and we want this to operate between 0 and 100. So there is a function for that also, and it's called linear. And now we are taking the value that we are going to change, so this will be our slider value. Now what is the original range? So this is from 0 to maximum, and we want this to be changed to 0 to 100. And this is it. This is the whole expression. Let's just turn this again. As you can see, it's already working. We found a value close to 30 that was a maximum, at least I think so. I didn't see any higher values. Oh, there are higher values. As you can see, our expression calculates that 30 should be something like 84 and 81. So this is the maximum value. As you can see, the expression works. The values are being scanned for the maximum value, and then they are converted to 0 to 100 range. And this is exactly what we need. Pretty cool. Okay, let's move to the next step. We can close this now. Let's close this also. And here we have our volume meter composition that we've created in the beginning. So now we can create a volume meter. So let's create a new solid. Let's make it whatever color other than black so you could see it. And let's well, we can of course make it a comp size, but let's make it a bit smaller, so maybe 400 pixels and 300 width. Okay. let's assume this is okay, and that this looks nice. What's the next step? Well, we would like to colorize this to look more like a volumeter, so we are going to apply a ramp effect to create a gradient. But as you probably know, this ramp effect comes with only two colors. We have a start color and end color, and we would like to have, for example, 3 colors or even more. And there's a cool trick that will allow you to do this without any additional plugins or drawing this in Photoshop or whatever. And we can apply Colorama Effect. Let's just find it. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Okay. As you can see, we have a whole range of values, and now we are going to change the output cycle, and this is where we can set the colors. So let's just hold this and drag it off, drag it out, so we just lose these values, and we are going to manipulate between greens. So green is going to be on the bottom, red on the top, and yellow somewhere in the middle. So this looks okay, I think. And what next? The next step would be slicing it up, horizontally, so it looks more like this. More like this. And to do that, we are going to apply a grid effect, which is somewhere in generate, probably, yes, generate grid. And this doesn't look okay yet, so let's change the blending mode to I wish I knew normal, maybe. No, not normal. I would like this to be transparent. So yes, this is it. And now let's just change the size form from corner pin to this, and now we can just tweak it up so it looks more like, more useful. Can we just write something in here? Yes, we can. This is good. Okay. And maybe something like this. And is there an option to invert this? Yes, there is. Okay, let's just turn to 100% so we can see what it looks like. Maybe something like that. Yes, this looks